and the comment said, I'm African living in America, and I can tell you all for a fact, Africans in positions of authority seem to enjoy overestimating their importance in those positions. They will tell you to come back tomorrow for something they can do right now, there and then. I hate that to the core. Also, they complicate simple processes. And then the boss man himself went ahead to comment, all the private sector does is try to make you beg and run after them for no fucking reason. O'Shea.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest about that. And we had Dr. Ronald Neal, PhD. He brought a beautiful topic called Pan-Africanism without Romanticism. And we need to have a serious conversation about, romanticizing Africa, because what is typically romanticized about Africa is Wakanda, when that movie came out, what's the name of Black Panther? Yeah. And, things like that, there's no white people, no white supremacy, there's no ceiling. And then one of the things that's very incentivized for the diaspora is that there are so many business opportunities in Africa. So that's what is really sold to the diaspora. We have people like Dr. Harnett. She does an excellent job. I believe that from what I've heard, she's the best person on the topic. So a lot of people, even Ugandan Americans, Nigerian Americans, people in the diaspora who are a little bit more in touch with the opportunities such as agave, vanilla farming, and things that we don't know anything about. They understand the opportunities in Africa. But when we think about that, we're thinking about it with an American mind. We're thinking about an American style opportunity in Africa with American or a lack of bureaucracy that we see in America. And America is really good in the private sector because you don't have so much bureaucracy in doing business. Mm-hmm. That's why Forbes has that list, ease of what? Doing business. Mm-hmm. And every time you're going to see African countries toward the bottom.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today I want to react to Kenganda's channel. They did a show on saying that doing business in Africa is hard, right? And when I saw the topic, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta watch that one, right? Because what grinds my gears the most in this the black social media space, the people going to Africa and promoting it to our people here in Africa, in America, is that a lot of them are lying. Right? Or they're being hyperbolic because they want their YouTube channels to get big based off, an exaggerated experience, right? You may see a title that says, oh, I went to Africa with $600. Oh, I went to Ghana with $300 and I made it. Look at me. I have all of this. I did this with $300. And I know they bold-faced lying. I know they're lying. And the thing is, when they do that, they're giving a false perception of Africa to the diaspora. Right? So what that does is that may get somebody that's like, oh, they enthusiastic, they're amped about the video, and they're like, yeah, I'm going, I only need $300. My next paycheck, I'm out, right? And we already know there's people who did that, right? And what happened? They get over there, they get stranded, they get scammed because they weren't prepared. Because the people, right, that's socially supposed to be responsible enough to give proper information to prepare their people for a daunting task of going to the other side of the planet to do business in an environment, in a place that they're not used to, in a system that they're not used to, right? Instead of giving them the real, they give them the false, embellished version so that they can make themselves look like they just went over here and just straight Wolf of Wall Street that shit, right? They're just some sort of wizard. They're extraordinary human African Americans, extraordinary Caribbeans. I went over there with $5 and I built this massive empire. Bullshit. You ain't getting shit for $5 except for something to eat. Yeah. So my experience as a business owner in Nigeria, I've been a business owner in Nigeria for shit. I don't even be counting no more. Like 4 or 5 years now. I done had a shop. I done had a farm, and I done did different things, right? I know it's hard as hell to get things done in Nigeria, because in Nigeria, in Africa, period, they don't have that same mentality that we have in the West and in certain countries like Japan, America. There's certain countries that just got this hustle, hustle, move now, everything, right now, right now, right now, right now, efficiency, 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 system, system. Like, they hustle until they die. Africa ain't got that. They chilling. It's like they're already living, so it's kind of like, why you in a rush, right? And things could take a long time, right? And sometimes somebody may supposed to be doing something and they just don't do it, and you get zero explanation. Like, for instance, a couple weeks ago, I hired this dude to build a fence around my farm, right? My farm. I got ginger, okra, garlic, and leafy vegetables is like green, right? And I'm growing all these things, and I want to put a farm around it. I want to put a fence around it so the goats won't eat my shit, right? So he started to do it and just stopped. And I'm like, bro, I already paid you, all right? I only paid him for the first portion. I didn't pay him the rest of the money. He tried to come back. He wanted to get all the money up front, and I knew he would have just disappeared, so he wasn't getting it. So you got to deal with stuff like that. People, when you hire a lot of people, you're doing a lot of, especially when it comes to farming, just think equivalent to America. Think about going to Home Depot in the parking lot, grabbing some essays, go do some work. It's hot as hell out here, goddamn, right? Doing some work for you, right? But the difference is, over there, sometimes they just might not do it for whatever. You get zero explanation. So you gotta go find somebody else, or you gotta make sure that you don't pay up front, that you pay in increments so that you won't lose no money, right? Another thing you gotta deal with, sometimes you have to pay to play. This is what it is. There's a system over there. And until the system itself changes to a more structured, a more non-corrupt system, if you want to do business there, you're gonna have to use the system and operate within the system. So that means you gotta take your American pride, your American way of thinking, throw that shit out the window. Now, you keep it there, but you just kind of like put it to the side because you're dealing with a whole nother system, right? So you gotta learn how to play the game. And that's what I've been doing, learning how to play the game. You don't think I paid, to make some things move a little faster for me? Oh, you're damn right. But there's a benefit to that. Because sometimes when you pay to play, you actually pay and you get lots of loyalty, you get lots of extra help. When people know you're gonna do that, when they know you'll pay to play, and 9 times out of 10, the money that you paying to play is gonna be insignificant. It's more of your pride of not wanting to be a part of a system that you deem corrupt by American standards, right? But let me give you a good example. Let's say you want to be in Washington, D.C. Let's say you want to get yourself an ice cream truck, or you want to get yourself a food truck. You want to do a business. You want to go out here and you want to make some money. Before you do that, you got to go down to the local office, government office, and you got to pay for a license, right? You got to pay money for a license so they can tell you that you can do business, right? So now when you do that, you think that's just the system. That's just part of the system. But what you just did, you just paid the government a bribe to allow you to operate a private business. You just did that. You just paid the bribes in America are in the system. All the fees, all the convenience fees, all the transferring fees, all the different fees we don't even know about, right? Those are the bribes that's put in the system. They're not called bribes, they're called fees. But over there, it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. In Nigeria, and I think it might be the same for most places, there is a culture of giving, right? There is a culture. If you're a person of means, you're expected to take care of your community. It's a thing. So if you go there, you balling, right? You got money, and you go somewhere when people don't got money and they know you got money, and you showing off with your fancy shirts and you driving a car, right? Shit, they expect you to break them off. Something, come on. Like, hey, you're showing off to me. Give me a piece of that. Give me something. Let me get a couple dollars. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it is, right? That's why a lot of village people think that we're rich. They think that African Americans are rich. They think that we are like super rich. They think that the Nigerians, when they go to America, that they rich, because you know what a Nigerian does? And let's be, hey, you Nigerians, y'all know. I know all y'all don't do this, but y'all do this, right? What y'all do, what some of them do, they'll go back home, right? And they'll go for 2 weeks, because God knows America only allows you to go on vacation for 2 weeks out of the year. You only get 2 weeks to yourself, maybe 3, right? For the most part, most people, right? And they'll go after saving up their vacation money. They go there, they'll rent the most expensive car they can, something real nice and fancy. They wearing all they super fancy, expensive clothes they done bought here, and they go to the village and they show off. They make it rain because they want their hometown to see that they have been prosperous in America, that they worked hard and their parents worked hard to get them to America, and that it worked. Because there's over there, your reputation and your family name means something. Y'all know how the Japanese, how the name means something. It's like serious. It's serious like shit. It's serious like that in Africa too. So they expect you to succeed. So people go there and they be pump faking in the village like they balling, even though they just rented that car, right? They just spent 2 months of their paycheck. They've been saving up for 6 months to go there and make it seem like they got it. But then they got to leave in 2 weeks because guess what? They got to take their ass back to work, right? And I've actually heard a lot of complaints from the village people in Nigeria that when people come from abroad, they only stay for 2 weeks. And they feel like, oh, you only good enough to stay with us for 2 weeks? Like, you're so good that you can only come to the village for 2 weeks and then you roll out back to your fancy country where you balling. And after coming in for 2 weeks and making it rain on the village, you leave and you go back to your country, right? Because I go there for 6 weeks and they just be looking at me like, damn, he's still here? He's still here? Like, how's he still here? Because it's not normal, right? So it gives the perception that we balling. So when I go there, that perception is already there. So when I'm there, I gotta deal with people because I am a generous person and I will help where I can help. And that's the whole point of me being over there, because I can leverage myself to help more people, right? More people that look like me, right? But you're going to deal with that. If you're an African American, you're going to Africa, just know you are a walking dollar sign. You are a walking bank. And people are gonna deal with you that way. They're gonna deal with you like you're a walking bank, right? So when somebody, is, looking for a tip, you know what I'm saying? Hey, they expect you to give it to you, and I behoove you to actually do it, especially when they deserve it, and I do that. But my one pet peeve is if you beg me, you ain't getting shit. Because some people get real comfortable with begging. And we know we got bums in America that will sit here on this road, right? Wearing Jordans, name brand clothes, and beg every car for $1. And they making $200,000-$300,000 a year. We know that to be a fact, right? So, they do the same stuff in Africa. They're not making no money like that, but they will beg, and they will use the word beg, and there's no shame in it because you seemingly have it, and they know you got it, right? So, but what I don't do is, if you're like if you're a kid, different. If you're an old person, different. But if you're a police officer or a security officer and you begging me, bruh, you ain't getting shit. Like, I had that happen to me several times. Dude he wanted a tip just for doing his damn job at an event. I'm like, bruh, I didn't even hire you. You're just here. You work here, right? I didn't give him nothing. But I gave the other guy something because he ain't begged nothing. He just did his job like a professional. And I rewarded him. So once you learn the system, understand you're gonna pay to play a little bit. Is also who you know, right? And I've been working on having a good network of who I know. And I have to say, out of probably all the social media Pan-Africans, what does that even mean? All the Pan-Africans on social media, all the pro-blacks on social media, I have to say, I'm probably low-key top 10 when it comes to who you know. All right, my ass is broke, so it hadn't like turn out to make me rich or nothing, but goddamn, I know some people, right? And it's good to know people and then have a good reputation with them. That way your name, if you're always going there, they're gonna remember your name. They're not gonna forget you no matter how many times you go back. And if you know people, they're gonna vouch for you. And if you know people who are in important positions, when you go to other places, guess what? You're gonna get respect. All you gotta do is drop a name. Like for instance, right? You see this right here? This right here is when I go to Nigeria and they see this, I get the utmost respect because they know I'm a royal chief in Yoruba land. They know that. They're gonna ask you what your name is. You better be able to spit that shit out immediately because they're gonna know, right? So I'll be practicing. They be like, who are you? I'm Babagua Ila Oregon. Babagua Ila Oregon. Right? You better, I still gotta practice it, but you gotta be able to say it so that when you're moving about in the places that you operate in, you can confidently say, I know this person. That's right, and I'm trying to do this. And they're gonna be like, depending on how important that person that's connected to you is, that depends on how fast something gonna get done. And turns out, this thing right here, get things done pretty goddamn fast. Pretty fast, especially when I drop the name, right? So yeah, it's hard as hell to do business in Africa. But you know what though? This is the thing. I'd rather deal with that hardship than deal with this hardship. You got to pick your poison, man. You got to pick your poison. You got to pick which system you want to stress out underneath, right? I don't mind stressing out underneath the African system. Once I learn the system, I'm learning the system. I know how people move. I know how people with power move over there. You know, sometimes you gotta stroke the ego. Sometimes you gotta be super humble. You can't just go in there with I'm an American and I got money, so I run this. You don't run shit. All right, that's their country, right? No matter how many of your ancestors came from there, your passport, it says something else. All right, so you gotta go there with that type of humbleness, and you gotta be a diplomat. People gotta learn how to be diplomacy. That means you gotta give and take, give and take, give and take. Benefit them, it'll benefit you. Benefit them, it'll benefit you. And that's pretty much how it works. And the thing is, on the street level in the black community, we already know how to do all this. We do this anyway. We do this with each other. So really the system in Africa is the same system we kind of run within our own communities, you know, offline, off grid, you know, kind of. So you just got to kind of acclimate yourself and just get used to it. So that's why it's important to just go there a few times, you know, learn, talk to people, make connections, try to know people and have a real relationship outside of business, just so you can get the feel of how things work. And then once you feel comfortable, you get in there and you start making moves. And look, the opportunities are endless, but you're gonna have to work hard. You're gonna have to work hard. It's not easy. It's not as easy as people try to pretend like it is on the internet, so that you can click on their video so they can get paid by YouTube. All right. Anyway, that's all I got to say for now, guys. Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out.